Hey, it's Monica with your Best Female Figure, and today I'm back with the butt circuit from Body by Burlesque. So what does it mean to have a burlesque booty? I talk about that all the time. Well, here are some pictures of burlesque dancers and what their butts look like. And that is pretty much what I strive for with my fitness plan, is to just get a sexy shape. It doesn't mean that you have to have a giant butt. It just means that you have to have a nice shaped booty for your body type, and that is proportionate, to your size. So anyways, this circuit is 5 exercises and you can go through it up to 5 times. I actually filmed it 9 times with 2 different cameras, and you're going to see most of that footage. All right, so the first exercise is a lunge off a chair. I call it a chair lunge. Some people call this a split squat or a single leg squat. You've seen people probably do this off a box. The main thing is to be able to go really deep with this. So you want that thigh to be almost parallel with the chair and the floor as you're going down. And then, you can add that hip extension to work the opposite glute a little bit harder too. After you do 5 to 10 repetitions on each side, you're going to continue with this suspension curtsy lunge side kick. The reason I like doing this now on the suspension trainer is that I can actually go really, really deep, and then the suspension straps help me to balance as I kick out to the side. When I do this without the straps, I can't lunge as deep, and I can't target my glutes as hard, and I have to end up doing more reps, and sometimes I don't have time for that. So I'm trying to find ways to make my workouts quicker and more effective. Now the next exercise is the goddess squat into a rotating lunge with a twist. If this bothers your knees, then you can just focus on each component by itself or do one side at a time. You don't have to rotate from side to side. It does help to have shoes that slide, though, if you're going to be doing this, or to just do it barefoot on a carpet so that your shoes don't get stuck on the carpet as you're rotating, and then that can affect your knees. And you're just, again, going to do 5 repetitions on each side, and then you're going to move on to this quad squat sit through. So you're squeezing the glute with the bent leg in that quad squat position, and then you're rotating into that sit through using your deep abdominals for support, and obviously your arms are going to get worked a little bit, but mainly this is a glute exercise, and your thighs and inner thighs are going to work as well. You're going to see in another round that I'm going to show in a little bit that you can actually rotate this from side to side by adding a jump. But if you're a beginner, you might want to stick to the single side version that I'm doing right here. So once you complete that exercise, you're going to move on to the single leg bridge, and you're going to keep the leg that's on the suspension trainer straight. So I'm going to start with the leg bent first, and then I'm going to lift with that other leg straight up and then dip that leg down. Once you get a few reps with that leg bent, then you want to straighten it out. That makes the exercise a lot more challenging, and your arms can pretty much do anything. They can stay by your sides like I'm holding them. You can actually put them flat on the floor for more support, or you can actually raise them overhead if you want to make the exercise harder. So a few reps with that knee bent is going to help you kind of find your core stability, and then once you have it, you want to straighten that leg out. And it's entirely up to you how the order of these exercises. On some circuits, the order of the exercises matters, but on this particular circuit, it doesn't matter. So you can mix it up, and you're going to see how I'm going to do that as soon as we get into the second round. All right, so we're starting with our second round, and it's entirely up to you if you want to take a quick break in between rounds. Of course, that's going to extend your workout time. I tend to only take maybe 15 to 30 second rests And sometimes I have no rest. I try and get through my circuits, all back to back, unless I'm feeling, really tired, and then I might rest a little bit longer. But generally, I'm, feeling pretty good, and I try and get through my circuits as quickly as possible so that I can stretch and just get on with my day. So again, we're going 5 repetitions. Notice that the chair is in a different position because I wanted you to see that I did film all these, and I always do film, quite a few sets of circuits, but sometimes it's not important to put them all in a video. So, I only will include 1 or 2, and then other times I include more. It just depends on the circuit. So here we are again with goddess squat, rotating, and you're going to see now the rotation into a sit through. That is optional. You don't have to do that, but let me just say that if you add that portion of the exercise, your glutes are going to get worked super hard. I mentioned this move, I think, on Facebook and on Instagram when I first created this circuit months ago, and it is intense. It doesn't look like it does very much, but man, because you're in that deep squat and a deep lunge and you're rotating from side to side, your glutes get worked really hard, and the next day you're going to feel it, and the day after you're going to feel it even more. All right, so now we're back to the quad squat sit through. And yes, this sit through is very similar to the sit through from the previous exercise. So let's say that you were short on time and you needed to take out 1 or 2 moves. This would be a move to delete from the circuit if you already added it into the previous move, so that your circuit can go by faster and you can get through your workout quicker if you're having a super busy day. Notice also how the order of the exercises is completely different. Again, that doesn't matter with this particular circuit. On some circuits that I create, that matters a lot. But on this one, it doesn't, so you can kind of just mix things up. And you're going to see later on how I actually forgot an exercise, so then I had to add it in later to another circuit, and that's okay too. If you forget an exercise, you can always add it in, later on and repeat that same exercise just back to back. So here we are back to our curtsy lunge side kick. And if you struggle with that side kick, just remember that the point of that part of the exercise is to work the thigh. You can also add a jump if that helps you. That actually makes the exercise a little bit more cardiovascular. Obviously, this is not a cardio or fat burning type workout. This is more of a sculpting, toning and muscle building workout. So you don't have to add that jump, but it's kind of fun to do it, and it helps to work your balance and your core stability as well. So after your curtsy, you're back to the floor for the single leg bridge with the leg dip. And notice how I'm starting off with that leg straight right away. You're going to see me bend it again. That was bothering me, that exercise, because I haven't been really stretching that much lately. I've not been doing yoga as much as I was months ago. There's quite a few reasons for that I don't want to get into, but my hamstrings lately have been insanely tight, so keeping my legs straight like that was incredibly hard. I was still trying to do it, but I was struggling with it, so that's why you see me bending the knee. So if that's a problem with you, you can keep the knee bent the entire time. You can also stay up in the bridge the entire time if you prefer to not be coming down on every rep. All right, so this is the final circuit that I filmed with the JVC camera, which is my old camera that I've been filming workouts that I've been uploading since 2009. So a lot of the workouts that I was uploading before were for my old site, Free Workouts Guide. Some of you may remember that, and some of you who are new probably don't even know that I had that site, but I've been running sites for a really long time. So now you can see from a different angle, and I'm going to mix up the exercises again so that you can just see a little bit of a different version of this. So there we just did the chair lunges, and now we're back to the sit through. And you really need to focus on squeezing your glute as that leg is coming back. It could be easy to just kind of throw that leg back. I tend to do that when I'm getting lazy with my circuit, but I have to really think about squeezing, the glute muscle as I come back and trying not to rush. Sometimes, like I said, I'm trying to get through these circuits quickly so that I can, get on with my busy day, and I start rushing and I start feeling like I'm not really getting the benefit of that exercise. So really focus, on what you're doing so that you get, the best results from your time spent exercising. All right, now on this version of the straps curtsy, I actually added kicks to the front and diagonal kicks also to the front. So I just wanted to kind of mix things up and see if that worked. And I didn't really love it, but it was just kind of fun to try it out. And those are things, little things that you can do when you're working out just to keep things from, getting boring. And also, to kind of experiment with your exercises. Maybe you'll find a version of an exercise works better for you with just one little change of a leg position or an arm position. So, you should always feel free to have fun and, play around with your exercises. Also notice how on this version of the goddess squat alternating lunge sit through, I added a bit of a hop. And I also decided to play around with the sit through. So on some reps, I'm adding it in. On other reps, I'm taking it out. And like I said before, that's entirely up to you. These are things that you can completely play with during your workout. If something isn't working for you, try taking it out for a few reps, then adding it back in and see how that works. You are free to do anything that you like that fits your body and your preferences. It's your workout and you should make it work for you, and also try and have fun with it. Okay, so finally, this last version of the single leg bridge with a leg dip, I'm going to add a toe touch. Believe it or not, raising one arm up and touching the toe makes the exercise a lot more challenging because you're taking away some of that, support from the back. So it's not as easy as it looks, even though you can't see like the upper part of my body, but I was actually struggling to stay balanced. And this angle that I filmed from wasn't the best with the camera where it was positioned, so I apologize for that, but hopefully you can sort of see what I was doing. All right, now if you are a complete beginner, you could stop at 3 circuits and be done with your workout, and that would probably be sufficient. But if you're more intermediate to advanced, you may want to do 4 or 5 circuits. So here I am filming with the GoPro and using the iPad as my screen, which was incredibly difficult to do. Now here is a modification for the chair lunge. If you have suspension straps and you would rather just do it on the straps, then you would just lunge down, and then as you come up, you would extend that leg back just like you do when you're coming up from the lunge. It's a little bit harder on the back, so you have to be careful to really squeeze the butt muscle and not allow the low back to do, that leg extension. Now here's the version of the curtsy lunge without the suspension trainer. You can actually use a chair or a couch for support, and you can kick that leg out to the side, back and front. You can lean forward a little bit. Just make sure that your knee is staying mostly over the heel. This is a little bit harder to do with chair support than it is with the straps. And now we're back to the goddess alternating lunge squat with a twist, but I'm going to add some different arm movements, and those are just options that you can do if you need to stretch, your upper back, open up the chest, and work your core a little bit more. So these are all versions of the exercise that can work, especially if you struggle to get into that low lunge twist. And obviously if this doesn't work for you, you can also take it to the straps and do a more dynamic version of this. You can just squat and then you can lift that leg out to the side, and that helps you to practice that rotation, with support from the straps. So the straps are really great for a lot of different types of exercises and exercise modifications. Now in this version of the single leg bridge with leg dip, I'm using a bar height chair. So this chair, is obviously a little bit taller than a regular chair, and it works really well, except that the chair was sliding all over the place. So make sure that you wedge that chair up against the wall if you're going to use a chair. You can use a bench, a couch. You could even wedge a stability ball into a corner and do it with a stability ball if you don't have straps. I think this version of the exercise puts a little bit more pressure on the back of the knee. So if you have problems with that, then be really careful to keep a slight bend in the knee, so that you don't overextend, your hamstrings, and you don't hurt yourself. This exercise looks really easy, but it can, do some damage if you're not doing it correctly. Now on to the alternating quad squat sit through. Make sure that you're squeezing the glute, and now you're going to see a version where you can alternate from side to side by adding a little bit of a hop. This version of the exercise works the core a little bit more than it does your booty, so you may want to experiment with that before you decide to add it in. And of course, if you would rather do this exercise on the straps, then you would just basically come down into a plank and you would dip the knee in and then rotate out to the side by squeezing the glutes. And this is a very effective exercise because you're isolating the glutes, but you're also working your upper body a little bit. Anyways, I hope you guys have enjoyed this video and that it has been helpful. I will be back soon with more exercises and circuits to help you get your best female figure. Thank you so much for watching.